Hello and welcome to Hotel Home. My special guest today is Brittany Antle. Thank you for coming today.
No problem.
We're so excited. We're excited to have you here because today we're going to talk about parties and how to throw great parties even in hotels, which right now we're in Japan, so especially here some of the rooms can be very tiny, so we have to find interesting ways to get together if we want to hang out with anybody, right?
That's very true.
So, what's one of the ways that you're able to get a group together, even in these small spaces?
Well, communication is key. A lot of times we've come into the problem where our internet doesn't work or it's slow. So you just have to go down that rooming list and call every single person. And unfortunately, sometimes people don't answer or sometimes the roommate's not there. So just mainly by word of mouth. I feel like you don't want anyone to feel left out, but unfortunately, if you can't reach out to them, communication is key. Sometimes we have to go back to the 18th century and leave a handwritten note, but usually for the most part, we try to rely on Facebook. But if the internet is not cooperating, then unfortunately we have to go the other route as far as communication.
Excellent.
Reaching out, yes.
So we're lucky to not be traveling by ourselves. We have a fairly large group of about 30 some people.
Ish, yes.
So we have lots of options when we're getting groups together. You don't always have to be with the same people.
Of course.
But we want to be able to find options where we can have small groups or large groups to get together. I know I've gotten a group of 4 or 5 or 6 together in a lounge and played a game. Board game, which can be hard to travel in your luggage. But
yes.
When you're wanting to get the larger groups together, how do you deal with that?
It depends
Where
on
do you put everyone?
Yes, obviously, of course. It also depends on what you're working with. Sometimes some hotels just don't have a conference room. Unfortunately, because Japan, everything is a lot smaller. That includes the hotel rooms. And sometimes in a lot of places we have single rooms where it's barely enough for yourself and 2 suitcases to fit in. So it's hard to work around that. Also in Japan, they don't have a lot of breakfast areas, whereas in other countries they offer us free breakfast. So there's a big open space with tables, and that's a bit easier. But specifically speaking about Japan, it's a little harder. So sometimes there are conference rooms available. Sometimes there's a large fee for that. Maybe not a large fee, so we could put some money together. If not, sometimes we resort to the hotel rooms. Fortunately, the staff usually has large rooms, so they sometimes can donate their room for the night or a few of their rooms for the night that we can move back and forth between each room to, I guess, distribute all the people that we have amongst a few different rooms in the same hallway, or possibly if there's a connecting door or a balcony, which we did while we were in Brazil. The two of the staff members had pretty much connecting rooms and balconies, and we moved between the 2 rooms. So that was a big open space at the end of the hallway, so we were able to be maybe a little bit louder than normal and cause a little bit more ruckus than we usually could in Japan, where it turns out, unfortunately, seems to be a lot of the problem here in Japan, because just their culture in general is very quiet and timid. So even us just talking on the street is a little bit too much for them to handle at times. So
you made a really good point about the rooms. We don't always have the opportunity to book our own rooms. A lot of times our company will do it for us while we're traveling on business. But whenever we are able to, we do like to have blocks of space. That way we can, like she said, be a little louder. Are there any other benefits to having a block of rooms? Easier to get that communication going, maybe?
Yes, of course. And whenever we get the rooming list, when we're at a new place, we always like, oh, great, everyone's on all the single people are on like the 8th floor, and all the couples are on the 9th floor, and the staff's on the 10th floor. You can kind of see where everyone is. Unfortunately, sometimes it's overbooked, and so there's a few people on, 7, there's 10 people on, floor 12, and everyone's all spread out. And unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like that big a deal, but if say maybe someone's phone is off the hook all day, you're going to have to go to the 12th floor, you're going to have to go to this floor and that floor. As opposed to when everyone's in the same hallway, communication is much easier. And like I said, as Americans, we're a little bit louder. So you hear someone talking in the hallway, you open your door. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Oh, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. But if you're on the 12th floor and someone else is on the 7th floor, it's not difficult by any means. It's just, it doesn't make things as easy if we're all kind of stuck together. Yeah. So.
It's especially nice when you hear somebody speaking English in another country and you're like,
yes.
Oh, that must be one of my people.
Yes. I must know them. Yes.
Or at least you hope you do. Otherwise, you look out in the hallway and you go,
sorry. But then maybe you could still speak English to someone else for a few minutes.
Making
new friends. Yes.
So sometimes, like you said, there's no way to put all these people somewhere. For example, when we had those single rooms. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we've resorted to going out to different restaurants. How do you find these other places to go, especially in other countries where we may not speak the language?
You're in charge of getting, 20, 25, 30 people to this random place that 1, you've never been, 2, you don't know anything about it, 3, maybe you've looked it up on the internet, however, it's all in Japanese, or if you're in, or it's all in Portuguese, or it's all in French, and you have no idea. Then you go downstairs, maybe, to the concierge desk, to the front desk. They do their best to explain to you maybe what kind of food it is, what kind of pricing there is, even how many people can actually fit in the restaurant. Because again, you could go to a Mexican restaurant and you get there with 30 people and, there's only 5 tables, which has happened before. So it's very difficult, and maybe will take a lot of extra time and effort to make sure that the price range is okay, that the food isn't some crazy, something way out there that no one wants to eat. I mean, generally we try to go for, okay, do they have hamburgers? Do they have pizza? Do they have pasta? Something that is kind of going to fit everyone, since it is a birthday party or it is a party for 30 people. It's not you and 3 other people going out for Mexican, if you prefer that, or sushi, or whatever that you prefer. It's, it's got to please everyone. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but a lot of us are performers and we all work together and etc. And everyone at the end of the day likes to be able to have their food and likes to have a good time. Well, if you get to the restaurant and you're like, well, this is overpriced, I don't like this, I don't eat anything on the menu, it just causes a lot of problems. You want everyone to have a good time. So, at least for me, I feel like you gotta go the extra mile, and maybe if that means you yourself have to go take a taxi, go check out the restaurant, see if there's someone there that speaks English, request them as your waiter. Also say, hey, is it possible these people are going to sit here? Can they have a separate check from these people, or is it possible for everyone to get separate checks? So it doesn't seem, you think, okay, 25 people just go into a restaurant to have a birthday celebration. That should be easy. But unfortunately, there's a lot of different things, because one step in the wrong direction and it all can go downhill from there.
So all of a sudden you're splitting a check 25 ways where one person had bottle service and everybody else had a hamburger.
Right. Yes. It's a very, very, can be very amusing, but also just trying, to get everything and all the pieces and all the things to line up is sometimes more difficult than it seems going right into it.
Can add a little stress that you don't want during your party evening.
Yes, but as the person who has opted to go and do the work and do the effort, you don't want to lead, like I said, 25, 30 people who've all walked in heels and nice clothes to this restaurant and it be totally not what anyone was expecting. So you just want to make sure everything is, you've done your best to figure out all the P's and Q's and you have them all in a row before you drag 20 people or 25 people down the street to some unknownness, which has been known to happen.
Now, you mentioned going down to talk to the concierge or hotel staff. When they've realized what you were trying to do, have they ever said, oh no, I know this great place if you're taking a group somewhere. Maybe you should try this. Are they more or less helpful when it comes to these kind of things? Or are they just like, yeah, that's nice, go there?
For the most part, the Japanese are very, very helpful. They're willing to suggest things. They call the place up for you. They, as much as they can understand of your English, hopefully, get it through that it's this person's birthday. You know, this is kind of what we're looking for. Can you help us? We want a reservation for 7:30. They usually can steer us in the right direction. Now, some other countries that we've been to are like, what do you want? No, we can't even do that for you. They are a little less helpful. But speaking of Japan, they will suggest if you're saying, you know, we're just looking for a Mexican place, you know, we wanted to go to this place, but we think that we found out that only 15 people can fit in there, especially if it's in Japan. Then they're like, okay, let me research. If they don't specifically know a place, they ask some of their other colleagues if they have any idea, any suggestions for us as well, and they usually do the best to steer us in the right direction. Because unfortunately, unlike America, restaurants aren't just open 24 hours or open, you know, from breakfast until dinner. They have certain closing times. Sometimes they're closed on Tuesdays from 7 to 9. Who knows why? That's just what they've decided to do. So, you know, that's another thing is you don't want to get there and everything seems right, and then you get there and unfortunately it's Tuesday at 7:30 and now you can't go to eat at the restaurant. So they do a lot of that research for you, and oftentimes they're like, oh, well, this place, this Spanish restaurant is unfortunately closed on Wednesday, but we can suggest this other place. So as long as the Japanese and English translation situation works out in our favor, then it usually goes okay. They're usually very willing to help us.
Now, you've planned parties all over the world. In the U.S., of course. I think you mentioned Brazil. We've been to Argentina and Chile and now Japan. We've been in Taiwan, a little bit of everywhere. In the U.S., a lot of places will have whole rooms that you can reserve, or you can call ahead and say, well, yeah, I'm having 30 people come at 7 o'clock. Is it the same in other places, or do you just kind of walk in and hope for the best in some of these places where you've been like, well, they said the food is good and they're going to be open and they'll hold us? Do we go and hope for the best, or how do you deal with that?
Well, usually when it's me, I try to, like I said, dot all my I's and cross all my T's. I try to figure out exactly what's happening and how many people are allowed. Oftentimes we hold these parties or birthday parties or just get-togethers, and you think 25 people will come, but only 20 people show up. So in other countries especially, we always have to ask if there's a per-person fee, because sometimes they reserve 25 seats, only 21 people show up, and therefore the rest of the group has to split those for other people's fees for their chairs, even though they didn't show up. So that sometimes poses a problem, and myself, I always have to ask about that because you never know. And in that case, then we do like a reserve list. Hey, I need you to call RSVP if you want to go to this, because there is a person fee. And if the person decides at the last minute they don't want to go, then they have then chosen to pay for their fee for their seat, even though they're not going to come. So it just doesn't put the other, people in a bad situation because they did what they were supposed to do. They showed up, they paid their fee, whatever. So, and also with a lot of bars, they charge, we're not talking clubs, we're talking bars. If you go in and have one drink, they charge you a fee right off at that. Maybe it's $10, maybe it's $5 if you purchase a drink. If you just go in the bar and hang out, no big deal. But if you order a beer, you order a wine, whatever, you're paying for the drink itself and then plus a fee that now you've used their glass or sit on their stool or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times you really have to check that out, because it's not that they're trying to get you. It's just that in America, we don't have these same things. They're not problems that if you think, oh, I'm going to Macaroni Grill with 30 people, if 10 people show up, it doesn't matter. They just condense it down and the servers aren't so happy about it. But, it isn't anything on us, which, I mean, that holds you to a responsibility. If you've made a reservation, then that many people need to show up. So, yeah, you just got to check those things out, specifically to the restaurant or the bar, the lounge that you plan to go to.
That's a good point about going out in different countries. Some of them have a little different customs.
Mm-hmm.
For example, some countries don't really allow tipping, and others think
Correct.
that it has to be there, and it has to be 15% no matter what. So that's definitely something to look up before you're
Correct.
going out.
Correct.
We have had the opportunity to travel all over, and occasionally we've had group outings of exploring. How have some of those worked out, and could you give us some examples, maybe?
Oh, goodness. Well, sometimes they can go very good. Sometimes they can go very bad. There was a couple of people that had tried to plan a trip to Mimojima, which is the floating torii. And, we had to ride a bus, then we had to ride a train, then we had to ride another train, then we had to ride a ferry to get to the island. And it's just, to do the research and put all that together, it puts the person in charge of that quite responsible. And they have to be 100% sure and confident that, one, that they've made the right decisions and have figured out exactly where they're going and what they're doing, because a lot of times you get somewhere and obviously the sign's not in English. You can't really look at a map because it's not in English, and you're just hoping that you have done everything that you needed to do to get to the right place. There was a case a few months ago that someone had found this great bar that was 5 different stories, and each floor was a different themes, like Western, disco, hip hop, and sounded great. So a lot of us got together. We had a meeting point. We get almost all the way there, and the person didn't have the address. And so we spent a good hour asking people, where's this place, blah, blah, blah. It's very popular. We eventually get there. It closed in, I think we had maybe 45 minutes to an hour left before the bar was going to close, and they were still going to charge us $15 to $20 to get in. So, unfortunately, that person did not do their research, left a big group of 20 people kind of hanging. Now, we work on the fly. We just found another place to go to, and it was great. Everyone had a good time, but unfortunately, if the person had looked up the address, had known the hours, had known exactly where they were going, then maybe we would have gotten to experience that. But that's the thing, when you choose to make a group outing or you choose to do a birthday, it's kind of a lot of pressure on that person, because you have to make sure you're about to take 20 people out into the streets of Japan, China, whatever it is, and hope for the best. And you can't just go out there on a whim and think that it's just going to appear and it's going to happen, because you can talk all day to people on the street, but they're probably not going to understand what you're saying.
So make sure you do your research, and make sure if something goes wrong, you're ready to adapt to the situation.
Yes. Which is also what happens when we tried to go to a beach a few weeks ago, and the concierge desk made it very clear that it was a swimming beach, but we needed to ride this a bus to the very end of the line. So we rode the bus to the very end of the line, and the gentleman said to the beach, get off and walk towards a tall bridge. You'll see the beach under that. So we're walking. We walked over a mile, and finally we get to this place that has one little picnic-looking area, and then a sidewalk, pebbles, rocks everywhere, and then water. And so, unfortunately, it wasn't, Destin or Daytona Beach or, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, something like that, where there's drinks and food and hot dogs and everything for sale, and it was not the beach that we were expecting, but we had a jam box, we had some towels, we had some snacks, so we made it a good time. And that's another thing that you also have to learn to adapt, because at times you can think that you have done everything right. You have followed step 1 through 10, and then get there and it's still not quite what you've expected, but that's part of traveling and adapting.
And sometimes that makes it better when you find something you weren't expecting.
Of course.
It's a little exciting.
Of course, yes.
Here, we're really lucky. We have a much bigger room than we've had, especially the past couple weeks. When you are able to have a room party, what kind of things do you do to prepare to have so many people in a small space?
Definitely, my first thing is remove any furniture that isn't being used. Maybe that's a table or a small desk that moves away. See if the staff doesn't mind it being in the hall, or sometimes they'll just come and take it out of the way. And also with that, finds a neighbor or someone else down the hallway that has more chairs that they can donate. That is the first thing I think is best, because you want people to sit around and not just have to sit on a bed. And the more clutter is not good. So also suitcases and things that are in the way, definitely go in the closet or go in the bathroom. Under the bed if possible. A lot of times in Japan that's not possible. So put unwanted things away. If there is ice available for free, definitely stock up on that. Also ask your neighbors for their ice buckets so you can make sure you have enough ice. Even if people don't bring drinks with ice, it's just good to have it. If you have possibly any kind of snacks that you don't mind to share, then that's good to have out. Yeah, and just, my pet peeve is just for things to be clean and tidy and not have excess stuff laying around, because it's a chance for things to get lost, and it just doesn't look as clean. You're about to have 20 people with drinks and food and all of their stuff added on top of your stuff that's already in the room. So just everything that can be put away, put away. Less is more in this situation. So,
do you decorate for any of your room parties?
If it's someone's birthday and we're having a party in there, we try to maybe put up a few signs. Situations like that. Of course, when we have done theme parties, we obviously put up things decorative to the theme. But for the most part, it's what you see is what you get. I mean, people are actually, it's funny because people get interested because your room doesn't necessarily look like theirs. Mm-hmm. And it seems so silly, like, who really cares, you know? But you're like, oh, your room's renovated. Well, I got the room with the flower carpet, or I got the room with the wallpaper from the 70s. So it's really interesting because then people will, you know, it's kind of just more fun just to, whatever, see what people have. Or you have a photo of a weird beach, and, oh, mine's a girl with, like, 3 kids, or whatever the case may be. So, yes.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I must not go to enough other people's rooms. When you do these parties, do you usually ask people to bring things? Do you do the BYOB thing? Or do you say, hey, I'm going to throw this party. If you'd like to send a couple bucks my way, I'll go pick some stuff up and have it ready?
Yeah, I think it's however it's going. A lot of times if it's a party for someone specific, you say, okay, or, you know, a birthday or whatever, you say, okay, hey, we can have it in my room, but these other people gonna get the cake, or these other people gonna get, like, some snacks or whatnot? It kind of, you distribute kind of like the weight or whatever. A lot of times it is just BYOB. Sometimes if people have a bottle of wine, they'll obviously share it with other people or bring extra snacks or this type of thing. But unless that's just kind of like our parties on the fly, you know, like I'm having people over, it's usually just BYOB. If it's something that's been planned out for a few weeks, then oftentimes we could go with everyone throwing a few dollars. I'll go get some drinks, that kind of thing. Seems from trial and error. Unless it's a big group ordeal where we've rented out a conference room, or we are, basically that's it. Rented out a conference room, or say we're doing like a big barbecue or something to this nature. For the most part, BYOB just seems to work best for trial and error, because then it's like, people get that thing, well, this person drank too much of this person ate too much of that. You know, it just seems a little touchy. So if it's just an on-the-fly thing, hey, people are coming over to my room in a few hours, everyone just usually brings their own drinks and or food or whatever.
Now, I like to think of you as the Jello shot queen. Because
I don't know about that.
They are so small that even in the small refrigerators that we have, you could make enough for a group, and it doesn't have a lot of ingredients, so it's one of the easy things to kind of contribute and still be like, oh, well, I helped plan for this and I made these. Could you share with us maybe your favorite Jell-O shot recipe?
Well, it's fairly simple because you just need the mix, water, and whatever alcohol that you're using. Or actually, you sub in half the water for the alcohol. A lot of places that we checked, say in Peru, they didn't necessarily had vodka, so we had to use rum. Mm-hmm. Or my favorite, tequila. I'm not sure. Does it necessarily appeal to everyone else's taste buds? But I would say the best would be vodka and strawberry. That it would be my favorite. But we've also done rum and the color purple. We're not sure if it was grape or something else, but it was purple. Unfortunately, in Japan, there are only two kinds of Jell-O, strawberry and melon. So you really don't get to decide. Peru had about 35 different choices of Jell-O. I didn't really know that there were that many flavors, so there was a lot to pick from, but when you're giving these things away, you don't want it to be like some kind of passion fruit mixed with nutmeg that it's like crazy and nobody wants to drink it, you know?
Oh.
So you try to stay like even keel. Okay, everyone seems to like strawberry or cherry or grape, you know, something that is going to appeal to everyone's taste buds.
Stick with the simple stuff.
Yes. Don't get too crazy and creative, because then people... Oh, I don't know. Maybe if you don't want to share, you could get crazy and creative, because then you won't have to give any away if no one likes them.
Oh, so. This is my pickle and vodka
flavored
Jell-O shot.
Exactly.
Oh, you want some? No? Okay.
The more for me, then.
Have you done any theme parties in hotels? Or not yet? That'd be a new thing to tackle.
Yeah, that might be a new thing to tackle. I mean, obviously with holidays you could do that.
Is there anything that you've thought up that you've been looking forward to doing and you just haven't had a chance?
Well, we often do the 80s. We dress up for 80s day, when sometimes at work, which I think would be a great theme party, or parties of the era. I was just speaking to someone last night because The Great Gatsby seems to be a big thing, to do a little Hollywood glamour, 20s, 30s, 40s, and all through there kind of theme thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what'll come about in the next month, but possibly in the fall as we move forward in our contracts, jobs, then I think that might be the next one to tackle.
Excellent. And for our guests at home, do you have a top 5 of don'ts for specifically in hotel, in-room parties?
Yeah, the top one would have to be, you have to keep your noise level to a minimum. And I have to remind myself of this one on a daily basis because I am just loud in general. But that's very important. And with that said, you would need to do not leave your latch open on your door, because obviously that's going to create a lot more sounds out in the hallway. In the hallway, it's best, we've learned, of course, from trial and error, to not let the party continue into the hallway, because that's when things start to go very bad. People, who knows, get naked, they start banging on other people's doors, they go find the fire extinguisher, just pushing elevator buttons. It's just best to keep everything contained, and when you leave, to continue on your way and go back to your own specific room. Oh. Now I've lost my other two here. Let's see. And with that said, also, it is inevitable you will get a noise complaint. When that noise complaint happens, it is not a chance to get louder. That would be inappropriate, obviously, because we've already been loud enough. So to take that into account and try to either cut down the music, take it off the jam box, put it back on an iPhone, put it on a computer, just something to kill the noise level. Sounds stupid, you could stuff a towel under the door. I don't know, anything to muffle out the sound. Send the loud person home, which would probably be me. So, And
Can't kick you out of your own party.
yeah, well, you know. And the fifth most important thing, and that's just a courtesy not only to the room, but to your fellow friends and coworkers, just don't trash their room, because you wouldn't want someone coming into your room and trashing it, and vice versa, you know. If you have drank 4 beers, please do not leave the cans on the floor. Just put them in the trash can, you know, or, you know, you don't have to tear up stuff just because it isn't your room. So.
And do you have
Yes.
any do's for us?
Yeah, the most important thing is just show up and have fun. I think.
Excellent.
And most everyone does that, so. And don't be a fun killer, because that's not fun.
No killing. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I think that's a great list of tips to help
It's a lot.
people get started on how to plan their own hotel get-togethers, whether or not they have the room for them. We've got a lot of options going on. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And as always, I'm Raina Long, your rambling rover. And thank you for checking in with us today on Hotel Home. And may you always